Ladies and gentlemen,
children of all ages,
it's that time again. Tex?
Power Athlete Radio time?
Sure.
boy, you just ruined our shtick.
Or maybe
I'm
you're
not
making-
tracking on the shtick. What was the shtick?
It's riffing, baby. You just riff. You just riff with it. You just feel the energy, feel the rhyme.
Feel the flow.
Do
Ride
the bull dance.
Do the bull dance.
It's podcast time. That's right, people. Power Athlete Radio is here. You're listening. I'm Luke. That's Tex.
Tex?
And then that's John.
I'm John,
John Welborn, founder, CEO, Power Athlete, friend of the podcast.
friend of the podcast.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to take a listener question. As you may or may not know, Power Athlete Radio has a hotline. It's connected to a phone. You dial these numbers, and you will reach our answering machine.
It's actually Luke's phone, so you can call him all hours of the night.
Yeah, that's fine. My phone's always on Do Not Disturb. I, in fact, have no notifications. It's the best thing in the world. And, and definitely send your love. Send your questions. 929-ING-ING-0. That's 929-464-4640. And let us know what you're thinking. Be bold, be brief. Some of our lovely listeners like to leave 3-minute voicemails. Some don't. Today, we don't have a 3-minute voicemail.
Ooh.
Was it 5?
We're in double digits now.
Oh, God.
All right, so here's what we have today, boys. You ready? You ready for this little bad boy? Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Matt Potter calling from Montreal, Canada. My question is in regards to Bedrock. I'm curious if you guys had an extended period of time with an athlete, is a post-pubescent athlete that I'm talking about, let's say 2 years or more, would you implement some kind of pre-Bedrock block? And if so, how would that look? And if not, I guess just ignore everything I just asked you.
Nope.
Have a good day. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye. That's the best part. Bye. So Matt is so Bedrock. Let's just start with Bedrock. Bedrock is our foundational program. It is the ideal entry point for anyone who is weight room ready. Mm-hmm. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
We take you on. We put you on a tried and true progression. You're going to come out the other side. You're going to come in. What's this line from Fight Club, John?
A wad of cookie dough?
And you're going to come out carved of wood.
Yeah.
Right?
Carved out of wood.
Uh-huh. Is that what a man looks like? That's Bedrock. It's tried and true. I've been there. I've done it. I think. No, I definitely started on collegiate template. No, I think it was pro. When I started cross football.
Common mistake.
Yeah. Common mistake.
This is the for those who are longtime CrossFit football folks, like back in 2008, 9, 10, early adopters, this was the amateur. Bedrock is an evolution of the amateur strength template. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So Matt is asking, we've got some young athletes that might not be weight room ready biologically, because that's a tricky thing. Common question. What age can we start with kids lifting weights? Well, it kind of depends.
I think you can do it from a young age. I mean, all the research, I read this like 10 plus years ago. I mean, there was some really cool training manuals that the Russians put out. And I remember some of the research we looked at the time talked about, don't quote me on this, don't email me asking me, because I can't remember exactly where it is. But it basically made the case that they found that they took like two groups of kids. One, they put them in a kind of a strength gymnastics, kind of tumbling kind of a training system. And then the other kids that they didn't. Uh-huh. And then after about puberty, about 12, 13, 14 years old, they threw them all in the same pool for strength training. And the kids had some exposure to something beforehand that looked like gymnastics, sprinting, running, jumping, tumbling, swinging kettlebells, whatever it looks like, gained muscle at a dramatically greater rate than those that didn't. And I always remember the term, there was a priming of the pump effect, that the early onset of exercise allowed the kids to grow much faster and develop much faster. So there became a whole pre-training, kind of pre-puberty. This is what physical training looks like before you get to the barbells. And
it wouldn't make sense. I mean, you probably could put a kid under a barbell. A kid's going to get stronger if you're measuring strength by their ability to move a heavier load. Right?
Well, from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and I think where we run into this is, how do I say this? Like, you don't, like, lifting weights in a fixed plane, like, hey, I'm going to put my foot in a bilateral squat and I'm going to squat up and down with a weight, will be a driver for strength and athleticism and other things, but that stimulus alone will not develop athleticism.
There's more to the
the ability to seamlessly and effortlessly combine primal movement patterns through space to accomplish a known or novel task, power athlete definition of athleticism, the ability to seamlessly and effortlessly move through space. Right? So, like, are you moving through space in a bilateral hip hinging movement? Yes, but not in the sense, like, you don't look at somebody squat and be like, God damn, they're athletic. No, but you watch somebody jump and move and run and change direction and spin around and do all these things. So I think something that fosters and develops athleticism, develops body weight awareness, something like gymnastics, tumbling, pull-ups, anything that's form of body weight, changing orientation, like swimming, where they can develop a ton of load and a bunch of metabolic systems that enable them to handle load because the swimming, is in a buoyant nature. Something that involves hand-eye coordination, whether that be like a sport, something that allows them to move through space in relationship to another individual. And then I think just a ton of running. The ability to develop speed and like conditioning and all those key factors at a young age has to play massive dividends.
Yeah, there's a lot at play and there's a lot of opportunity because, number one, to expect like a young kid to have the discipline and focus to hit like a full training session of just exercise is probably unrealistic. Is that fair? Unless you're in like a communist country where you can just mandate it, right?
Well, so when I trained with Rolf back in the day, early in my NFL career, he used to have these parents that would hire him to train their kids. And so they would I had these 8 and 10-year-old kids. The parents would drop them off and they'd be like, okay. And they'd drop them off and Rolf would be like, okay, come back in an hour. We're going to lift weights and train. The parents would leave and we would just play games with the kids.
Right.
And
which can be is a training stimulus.
They were, but the parents wanted them to do sport-specific training. Right. And Rob's like, no. But I'm going to put them into a training environment. It would tag chasing. He had a tag game that was on the squat rack where the ground was lava and there was just a bunch of different stuff. So it just is really limited on your creativity. But I would caution you against taking a prepubescent kid and being like, 3 sets of 5 on the back squat, 3 sets of this.
Because the training stimulus there, the desired training stimulus of an overloaded a progression phase that is approaching overload is hypertrophy, right? That's what we're looking for. But that's not the only training stimulus that's available to help long-term athletic development. So it's unrealistic, I guess, of your training program, the primary training response to be hypertrophy for a young kid. Yeah. So why apply that stimulus other than it may be valuable to start building that pattern? Is that a safe safe approach? So introduce these barbell lifts not as a training stimulus for strength, but as a coordinative ability.
Well, just teaching the movements.
Well, we want to give them the opportunity to practice movement. And this is our project with the middle school way back. And how we progressed, we introduced and began with posture and how you're able to connect. And this begins to be your teaching thread throughout of it. Your foundation for the kids is posture. And bring it back to the dinner table or the classroom and make them aware. So even that simple body awareness, because they're freaking drooling in front of the Zoom call now, but former the freaking chalkboard, and then they're sitting and playing video games. And if we're able to just turn on this switch, going back to our snap, of body awareness, as simple as our nanas used to do with us at the dinner table, and that simple body adjustment of their posture, that's the start of athleticism, and every kid can do that. It's a simple enough request. From there, we start to then challenge that, and as John introduced, we have the squat, the lunge, the step up, and our primal, our foundational movements, and we can create more dynamic demands. So we have our posture into our static, as we define it as static, where your feet are locked into the ground and you're performing that squat, you're performing that lunge. But now we can get into a more dynamic, static versus dynamic, and you would progress to this, and then most importantly, don't try to teach this, just set them free for these dynamic movements, pushing, pulling, playing, running, jumping, squatting, catching, throwing, and have them throw weird objects.
Well, it could be, it's like just gamify it, right? So,
but yeah,
think of red light, green light. right? Like that is a mixture of isometrics and dynamic movement, because you could do like a red light, green light through lunging, through squatting, through push-ups, through hanging on a bar, red light, and then they got to hold a certain joint angle and position. I think like these are ways to incorporate some of these training principles that you would use in an advanced training program of isometrics, eccentrics, tempo work, things like that. Gamify it.
Well, the other one too, I think you have to provide opportunity. So things like establishing and putting things out there. Like we have a trampoline, and like periodically, like I never tell the kids when to go get on it, but I'll look out there and there'll be like 4 of them just out there playing some vicious game that looks like knock them down. Yeah. And then they bounce and they have fun. But I also think like being able to provide certain things. Like one of my favorite things as a kid, do you guys remember like the big jungle gyms that were like those big kind of domes? And like you kind of had to go across and this, and we would play like King of the Mountain, and you would swing in here and you couldn't touch. Like as I think about that, like what an incredible thing, the ability to like actuate from side to side, swing here, use your legs, get up, not get knocked down, get up on top, climb over different, kind of a sphere over different angles. Mm-hmm. So I think it really just comes down to like whatever opportunity you provide. Like if you put skateboards out, they'll learn to ride skateboards. If you get them bikes, they'll ride. I mean, and I'm always a big fan of getting things for kids before they're ready, just so that they see them there. Like, have a bike with training wheels, but also maybe get another like smaller bike that doesn't have training wheels, so that you can kind of get them into both environments. I've just seen that like whatever we provide, they will play with. And I think what happens when new parents come in, or whatever it looks like, they don't do it until they think the kid is ready. Just get them that stuff,
and then do it with them, like do it for them.
Well, kids learn by watching, but it's also really interesting to let athletic problem solving happen. Where like we got Ruby that little bike, and she hopped right on it and was probably cruising. Like you didn't have to show her how to do it; she just kind of saw it and got on.
Yeah, just
right.
Do it, kid.
So using those mirror neurons versus the parents that are like moving, grabbing part of that limb and doing it. Mm-hmm. What I would focus for Potter, so Potter he's been through the Power Athlete methodology, block 1, and I would have him focus on everything outside. So if he's educating other educators to be in this position, like we're trying to educate an educator right now, I would focus more on everything outside, not the X's and O's and exactly what to do, but the emphasis in getting your kids to enjoy fitness, movement, so much that they continue to now create a behavior and a passion and a love and a connection to their time with Coach Potter and the teachers, so that then they stay connected to movement for the rest of their lives. They had so much fun in gym class.
The point being is like I think, and John Tex, correct me if I'm misunderstanding, going to what Rolf was doing and what you're talking about here, Tex, is like what specifically you're doing is at this point for most people inconsequential. It's just that it's not nothing. Like that you have a pretty wide margin of error for any sort of thing that looks like activity or fitness.
The only thing that will kill activity is the fucking TV. Like the TV and the computer. I'm not kidding you. Like if the TV, they know that the TV exists, and I was laughing with my wife the other day, not really laughing, but we were kind of like, fuck. When we were kids, right, and we'll go back in time, like you got the TV guide, or you knew when your show was on, you got that show.
TV guide.
Right? Like, hey, we knew like this was our show. You watch the show, and then you turn it off because there was nothing else. You didn't sit there and keep watching. It's not like Netflix where it just keeps spooling. And then also they know that anything that they want to watch, and especially stuff they want to watch, is on that TV right now. I remember looking at the TV and being like, nothing's decent's going to be on for another 3 days. We'll just go outside.
Wheel of Fortune.
And so
I'm out. So
what I did is I hid the clicker, and then they went and got the clicker from upstairs. So now I just take the power cord, and they'll be like, the TV's broken. I'll be like, it's not working. And then they're not smart enough to figure out, is it plugged in?
Yep.
But because of that, I think, like because of how much is on there, like they'll sit and watch it. Cassie will, Jamie will. Killy goes out and plays and does all the things. She doesn't like to sit and watch TV. But I think like that thing, man, and then the minute we take it off, we turn it off, they instantly go outside. They do all these things. But if I sit there or if I don't pay attention, they turn it on. That just instantly sucks them in. So
That's
what I
why,
say is
yeah, oh,
hide
yeah.
the power cord.
Oh, dude, that's why the Summers house doesn't have a TV on the first floor. No big deal.
Oh, the forced conversation room.
That's
it's
right.
probably the best idea that you've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the family area has no screens,
Mm.
and it's going to stay that way.
And to provide some specifics on what to focus on in that training environment, like the X's and O's squats games outside of that. And this is something where we were working with those middle school coaches. We encourage them to eat every day. So EAT, these are themes and themes in which they will focus and teach that the kids, they are not going to get these lessons in the classroom. And maybe or maybe not, they don't get them at home. So if you want to be an empowering educator, so we understand parents don't rely on educators to teach your kids, right? But if you are an educator and you want to make a fucking difference, you have the opportunity to eat every day. EAT acronym that we were teaching effort, attitude, and teamwork. Effort in lines of we are teaching these kids urgency. And this is a Ruiz deal. And urgency would be competitive greatness. That's that sportsmanship. You're learning to win and you're learning to lose, but it's all this fun in the game. It's the 60-minute, 30-minute, however long they have, the recess time. Like, it didn't matter what game we played in recess, tag, soccer. We were all winning and losing within that time frame, but we still are friends at the end of the day. Then you have intentness. At tag, I'm intentionally putting forth my best speed, effort, agility to get on J.J. Watt's tag, not to then work on my movement through all these different planes. And alertness. I'm being aware of all the objects around me, the jungle gym that we're chasing and playing tag through. That's all going to equal athleticism without Coach Potter saying a damn thing. Cursing a lot today. And then attitude, enthusiasm, initiative, self-control. Like not losing your temper. We talked about Thor blowing it all for the Avengers previously, but now he's the opportunity to practice self-control within this recess play environment that certainly will translate to other aspects of this 8 to 12 to 13-year-old kid. And then what I would be big on would be the teamwork, the team spirit, cooperation, friendship. You have this opportunity of kids, different age groups, different backgrounds, so on and so forth, to develop through competitive, where we as sport athletes develop this within the weight room and freaking banging heads against these kids that we never met and that in training camp, and 1 month later, 4 weeks later, we're freaking best of friends. Well, for the middle school, it's the opportunity through competitive games. We learn to connect with a teammate or, and you mix and match every single day to then develop friendships that would otherwise not have happened. Sitting at a desk and forced to work on some school project, that's not the same as, playing and moving and failing and succeeding together. So those were themes that we were encouraging our middle school, our PE teachers to coach through and bring, a passion back to fitness and exercise that we felt was lost from our observations within that cohort.
Yeah, and it's a paradigm shift from a guy or a gal who might be more embedded in like sports performance, strength, and conditioning, because the themes you're looking at there are predominantly performance traits that express themselves on the field in whatever competitive domain it is. Now we're talking about these very different themes, which changes the programming. Like that's the sexy thing in this space is like, what's the program? Again, like anything, as long as you can point to how the activity for that day or that period of time, whether it's a week, a day, a month, whatever interval, is leaning on these themes that we're talking about, that we're eating every day. And it's just a different way to change the framework. Because I'm certain Potter was looking for like movement selection or volume or intensity. Well, those things are like, they're inconsequential at this point.
Yeah, and Matt, trust you know what to do. Get creative, have fun with the methodology information, but man, focus on this and empowering the youth here.
Yeah.
I got one more observation if we got time.
For you? Anything.
For Happy Gilmore. So I'm coaching middle school lacrosse, and parents are so excited that school's beginning, but they're still stuck at home So we're offering coaching outside of the school. So getting back into it and connecting with parents there. Observation, the age group is 7th and 8th grade, and now
13, 14? Or is that 12, 13?
I'm not sure. I just know the grades. I'd have to math it out. But then like the kids that are rising into the high school. So an observation from almost a year working with this age group is there's this switch and change in mentality of the kid to where like goofing around, playing tag, like, pulling pants down or pushing kids around, that is fun. And you start to see, as we're doing drills, competitiveness, scrimmaging, a change in fun, a demeanor starts to be being good, competing. So you can see this age group just evolve right before your eyes in less than a year, and where fun is goofing around and, being a freaking middle schooler
Then
to
fun
now.
is winning.
Well, not necessarily winning, because we're not competing with other kids, but like being good at what you're doing. So then that starts to feed the interest of the sport, not just being there and hanging out with your boys. It's, oh crap, I'm actually getting good at the skill. So now you find a different enthusiasm with the young men, which is cool. And then that's more, but still.
And then with that, you have the opportunity to like get their attention a little bit more, because you are now the technical expert on this, whereas before you were seen probably as a babysitter. And I remember the same thing happening when I was coaching Pee Wee football 10 years ago. It was like fourth, fifth. I had the kids from 4th, 5th grade, 5th, 6th grade, 6th, 7th grade, 7th, 8th grade. So it was like 4 years I was coaching these kids. And then when we got to 7th and 8th grade, these little pipsqueaks, it was pretty funny. Like they just wanted to rip heads off, and they really wanted to actually play. They were getting ready to play high school football. It's a big deal. So cool opportunity. And it happens pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still kids that it hasn't, same age group, friends, it
Just
still
late bloomers.
hasn't clicked.
Yeah, late
Yeah,
bloomers.
and I'm not saying anything, it's just an observation.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we asked and answered that one. Would you say?
Yeah, no, it was good.
Are we satisfied? Do you concur?
Yeah, let's go eat.
Have you seen?
That was a reference back to the...
I get it. What's the Leo movie? Catch Me If You Can. That's the line I'm referencing, where he's pretending to be a doctor. He's like,
Oh,
what do
I
you think,
concur.
doctor? Do you
I
concur?
concur.
I concur. Do you concur? I concur.
That's he got it off of the. Remember, he was watching the TV show on how to be a doctor.
That's a
good
true
movie.
It's a true story.
I actually posted a interview with Frank Abagnale. It's kind of an interesting name like that, Junior, and he actually goes and speaks and was like, they have a pretty interesting story about the real guy. I posted it on Johnny Wad Rest Day.
Nice. Yeah, I got to go rewatch that one. That was fantastic. Big Leo fan. You know what else I'm a fan of, guys? Voicemails. Hotline's open, listeners. 929-464-4640. Hit us up, ask us a question, and we'll get to it.
Or leave a review for the podcast if you're not the question type.
Yeah. And if you have time to call us and leave a review on the voicemail, leave it on the iTunes page, right? Or Spotify.
Yeah, call it in. I'll type it up.
Oh, nice one. Yeah. One of the shell accounts that you have? No. Thanks, listeners. Thanks, John. Thanks, Tex.
You're welcome.
Until next time.
Bye.
Now it's time for you to empower your performance. Head to powerathletehq.com/training to choose from a number of programs to meet your specific performance goals. And if you like to break a mental sweat too, visit academy.powerathletehq.com and become a real stakeholder in you or your athlete's success. Until next time, bye!